Well, the reason I wanted to write my play about the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters is that it was a really important organization in the United States, of course, particularly for African Americans, but really for everyone in the country. The Pullman Porters were started by George Pullman, who owned the Pullman Company. And he decided, it was shortly after the Civil War, that it was a smart thing to hire ex-slaves to work in his railroad cars. He thought they would be grateful for the job and they would be willing to take a small amount of money. And as ex-house servants, they would be very willing to be friendly and subservient. And this is, in fact, what happened for a long time. The men were very glad to be able to travel, see things, have a regular job, and earn regular money, even though most of what they earned had to be tips. But after a generation or so, the next group of men who started in weren't that thrilled with being paid low amounts of money and having the difficult work that they did. However, as everyone knows, it was still difficult for black men to find a good job. This was a job in which they didn't have to be working with dirt, blood, labor, and that sort of thing. So it was still a very popular job, and the men did extremely well. They were intent on giving their families opportunities. They bought their own homes, they sent their children to college. I can remember that in 1926, the year my play is set, in Chicago, 57% of the porters owned their own homes. This is a huge percentage for any group of people. But gradually, over the years, they became more and more frustrated with their working conditions. I can't mention everything, but one really good example is that Pullman never planned a place for the men to sleep on the trains. Now, you know, if you're working on an airplane, being able to sleep is not that important, but if it's taking you 3 to 5 days to go on a trip, you need a place to sleep. You need a break, a real break. But they had no place to actually lie down full for any amount of trip that they were on. There was a small bench in the men's smoker, and they could rest there after midnight if nobody wanted them. So if two porters were sharing one car, the work of one car, they might each get 2 or 3 hours sleep by sharing this bench, putting their feet up on the wall. So it was really a demanding job. They had to run up and down the car, get people water, help with the children. They usually had to polish everyone's shoes at night, make all the beds, put the beds back up, and answer questions. And there were plenty of complaining people. Many older Americans remember some wonderful trip they took where the porter helped them, and they usually were trying to be very nice, so they usually were. And the Americans remember, the ones who are old enough, remember these wonderful trips and say how really great they were, what a nice group of men they were. But they don't realize how difficult it was for the men. So after several different kinds of tries to start a group of fairly influential porters hired A. Philip Randolph to try to start a union. And this was in New York City that he was living. And they hired him because he had never been a porter. And this play is set in 1926 when they were trying to start this union. And it's about two porters and their feelings about perhaps joining the union. So anyone who's interested in finding out more about this or something about my play can contact the Mira Theatre in Vallejo and find out more about it.